Trailblazers head coach Chauncey Billups and Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier were arrested as part of FBI investigations into sports gambling.
The world collectively gasped when the bombshell dropped. Terry Rozier caught in a sprawling FBI sports gambling sting. Arrested alongside Chauncey Billups, Rozier is now issuing his "oops, I did it" apologies. But wait, the real jaw-dropper? His shocking hints about the Miami Heat's part in this mess. Buckle up, because the arrest and FBI takedown were pure cinematic chaos. October 23, 2025, started like any other snoozy NBA morning. Or so fans thought. The league had just kicked off the hotly anticipated 2025-26 season, arenas humming with excitement. Then bam! Within hours, basketball's cozy world exploded with one of the nastiest scandals the sport has ever seen. At exactly 6:01 a.m. Eastern, while most of America snored, a dozen FBI agents from New York, flanked by Orlando's SWAT, stormed the Omni Orlando Resort at Champions Gate. Not your average hotel. This was Miami Heat HQ on their opening road trip. Their prey? Terry Rozier, a.k.a. Scary Terry. Witnesses say the raid was quietly ruthless. Agents knocked, flashed badges, and slapped a warrant in Rozier's face. Rozier, already up at 5 a.m., obsessively reviewing last night's humiliating loss, didn't flinch. After that humiliating 112-104 loss to Orlando, Rozier was surprisingly chill, fully cooperative, decked out in a gray hoodie and sweatpants, and led downstairs in handcuffs. No guns, no shady loot, nothing. The whole scene wrapped in under 20 minutes, sparing the other Heat players from early morning chaos. Timing, though, perfectly cinematic. Just 12 hours prior, Rozier had lounged on the bench in street clothes during the season opener. Coach Eric Spoelstra blamed load management, but insiders whispered federal eyes had been on him for months, even if nobody expected a dawn raid. Around 6:30 a.m., NBA security finally tipped off the Heat, triggering an emergency huddle with stars like Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. Butler called it stunned silence, adding, "We're family. This hits hard, but the grind doesn't stop. But hold on to your popcorn." Rozier's arrest was just one thread. This was part of a gargantuan 34-arrest sweep across 11 states, what feds called one of the largest crackdowns on sports corruption in modern U.S. history. And then came the press conference to make jaws drop. 10:00 a.m. Eastern. FBI Director Kash Patel facing Brooklyn reporters, dropping names of those taken into custody.
Of years, the FBI led a coordinated takedown across 11 states to arrest over 30 individuals today responsible for this case, which is very much ongoing.
Hold on to your seats, because the FBI director himself was on the podium, spilling NBA gambling tea like never before. Seriously, when was the last time you saw the head of the entire Federal Bureau of Investigation announce arrests tied to professional basketball? This wasn't some local PD stunt. This was the nation's top federal enforcers throwing serious weight at what they called systemic corruption. But brace yourself, the drama was just warming up. Director Kash Patel dropped the real shocker. This scandal wasn't just hoops. It was tied to organized crime. He named names: the Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese families. Yes, mafia families, straight out of a Scorsese flick, allegedly running a massive criminal web right through NBA insiders. And when Patel revealed the staggering sums of money involved, the nation collectively gasped. Here's the jaw-dropping scale. The fraud wasn't petty cash, it wasn't pocket change, it wasn't even millions. It was tens of millions of dollars ripped off over years. Tens of millions! This was a full-blown industrial operation, running stealthily while exploiting the $150 billion sports betting boom unleashed after the Supreme Court's 2018 Murphy v. NCAA ruling. So where does Terry Rozier come in? Enter the infamous exit game. On March 23, 2023, Rozier suited up for Charlotte against New Orleans. Prosecutors claim that at 4:17 p.m., Rozier slid a signal message to childhood friend Dairo Lair. "Out early tonight? Quit acting up, tell the boys under all day." According to the indictment, this was deliberate insider info. Rozier knew he'd play minimal minutes, yet conveniently didn't alert team staff about bailing early. Armed with that insider tip, Lear allegedly flipped it for a cool $200,000 to a betting syndicate, including felons Eric Ernest and Mars Fairley, both already nailed for a 2022 college basketball rigging scandal. What unfolded next reads like a Netflix crime thriller. Bets flooded in, $250,000 across FanDuel and offshore sites, piling on Rozier's prop bets, under 10.5 points, under 4.5 assists, under 25.5 minutes. Odds went haywire as action spiked unnaturally. Then like clockwork, Rozier hit the court at 7:42 p.m., logged 9 minutes 36 seconds, scored 5 points on 2 of 6 shooting, and left at 8:11 p.m., clutching his foot like a scene out of a movie. Arena cameras caught it all, later dissected by ESPN investigators. The bets paid off big, over $100,000 instantly, funneled through Lear's crypto wallet. Federal affidavits even claim Lear dropped a duffel bag of cash at Rozier's Charlotte crib, counted right in the kitchen. Witnesses and Ring doorbell footage backing the story. The charges? Nothing short of explosive. Rozier is staring down 3 federal felonies: conspiracy to commit wire fraud, conspiracy to commit money laundering, and transmitting wagering info across state lines. If convicted, he could do 20 years for wire fraud alone, plus 5 for money laundering, and 2 for illegal betting transmission. Prosecutors are also gunning for his assets, including a $2.5 million Miami condo. His lawyer, Jim Trusty, a former DOJ prosecutor, went on the offensive. "This 6 a.m. per walk? Pure photo op for misplaced glory," he said. Rozier met with the NBA and FBI multiple times in 2023, was cleared, and believed he was cooperating as a witness. Prosecutors dusted off a non-care, but Rozier isn't a gambler. He's ready to fight. Yet his arrest is just one thread in a massive, tangled web, revealing just how deep gambling schemes ran through America's top sports league. These weren't simple bets. Federal prosecutors uncovered 2 intertwined criminal enterprises: Operation Nothing But Bet and Operation Full House. At the press conference, U.S. Attorney Joseph Nocella Jr. stepped up to detail the 2 indictments now being unsealed, clarifying the government was hitting both operations hard. The feds weren't messing around. They filed charges in 2 separate but linked cases. Translation: double the drama. One case, sports betting. The other? Illegal gambling, specifically rigged poker. The first indictment names 6 defendants accused of orchestrating one of the boldest sports corruption schemes since online betting went mainstream in the U.S. Enter Rozier's role. The main indictment, filed in the Eastern District of New York, Case 25 CR 323, pins him and former Cleveland Cavaliers assistant coach Damon Jones for wire fraud and money laundering from December 2022 to March 2024, over a year of meticulously planned fraud. Here's the play-by-play. They targeted 7 NBA games focusing on player prop bets: points, rebounds, assists, minutes. Why props? Because unlike game outcomes, they're tiny enough to hide massive manipulation. Think about it. A favorite losing by 15 triggers suspicion. Player hitting under 20 points? Nobody blinks. But here's the genius or criminal twist. If a 20-point-per-game scorer drops only 14, it's totally normal in basketball. Foul trouble, defensive schemes, game flow, all legit. That natural wiggle room made the scheme insanely sneaky, nearly undetectable, and insanely profitable. U.S. Attorney Nocella laid it out. From December 2022 to March 2024, the defendants ran a full-on fraud operation, betting on insider non-public NBA info. This included who'd sit out games or bail early citing fake injuries. Their secret sources? Corrupt insiders, including Rozier and Damon Jones. These were nuggets of info the public would never see: injury intel, rotation plans, private load management, strategic benchings. Allegedly, NBA insiders sold these tips for $10,000, $50,000 flat, or 20–50% of profits. Communication: ultra-secure signal, telegram, disappearing messages, law enforcement beware. Then the info hit proxy bettors, who placed wagers across state lines, breaking the Wire Act. Even craftier, straw bettors spread max bets across platforms, hiding patterns. One massive bet would trigger alarms, but dozens of small, coordinated wagers flew under the radar. Staggering scale: over 200 illicit bets, $1.22 million in payouts, with total fraud estimated at $10 million. Fraud didn't stop at sports betting. They laundered cash through crypto, shell companies, and offshore accounts. But that was just half the drama. The second scheme? Rigged poker. And it was next-level Bond villain stuff. U.S. Attorney Nocella laid out the spy-level tech these defendants wielded. They swapped and shared sophisticated cheating gadgets for a cut of the profits. Off-the-shelf shuffling machines? Totally rigged to read cards, predict the best hands, and beam the info to an off-site operator. That operator then texted a co-conspirator at the table, the so-called quarterback. Seriously, the tech was insane. Starting in 2019, these players ran wireless cheating operations for high-stakes poker across the Hamptons, Las Vegas, Miami, and Manhattan. These weren't your run-of-the-mill back-alley games. They were high-stakes extravaganzas in luxury estates, swanky suites and private yachts with buy-ins starting at $100,000. Wealthy victims, hedge fund managers, tech execs thought they were getting a fair shake. Enter the face cards, former pro athletes luring marks with the chance to play alongside sports stars. Notably, defendants Chanty Billups, now Portland Trailblazers head coach, and Damon Jones, coach, and Damon Jones, charged in both operations, were key players. Victims, internally called fish, had no clue everyone from dealers to celebrity face cards was complicit. Once the game was rolling, defendants fleeced tens or hundreds of thousands per session using spy-level tech. Poker chip tray analyzers with hidden cameras, contact lenses, eyeglasses reading pre-marked cards, even X-ray tables scanning face-down cards. Prosecutors showed jaw-dropping visuals proving every face-down card was readable. But what turned this from high-tech cheating into a full-blown conspiracy? Organized crime backing the whole operation. U.S. Attorney Nocella didn't hold back. The mafia was front and center in these schemes. Specifically, members and associates of the Bonanno, Gambino, and Genovese crime families, already running non-rigged, illegal poker games in NYC, jumped into the rigged games, organizing sessions, taking a cut, and enforcing debt collections. And when Nocella said enforcing debts, he meant it literally. Gunpoint robberies for rigged shufflers, extortion to make sure victims paid up. This wasn't just white-collar crime. It was full-on intimidation and violence. Here's the kicker. While the indictments were technically separate, the schemes were deeply intertwined. 3 defendants, Damon Jones, Eric Ernest, and Shane Hennon, were charged in both. Poker profits fueled sports betting. NBA connections brought new poker marks, and money